So today we're looking at something really interesting, a single object that feels like it exists in two different centuries at the exact same time. It's the Mont Blanc 1858, a watch that's built on this fascinating contradiction, a story of old school soul and seriously futuristic engineering. Okay, so to really get to the heart of this watch, you've got to understand its split personality. On one hand, you have this deep 1930s military spirit pulled directly from these legendary Minerva pilot watches. All rugged, functional, old school cool. But on the other hand, inside that case, it's got a 21st century brain packed with technology designed for today's most extreme adventures. So how on earth do you get those two worlds to work together? Well, that's the paradox we're going to unpack. How did Mont Blanc, a brand that's, let's be honest, famous for something totally different, create a watch that feels like a conversation between the past and the future? So, first things first, let's dig into the history. To really get this watch's vintage soul, we need to trace its DNA. And the story starts somewhere you might not expect. Most people hear Mont Blanc and they think of those iconic luxury pens, right? They started making them way back in 1906. It wasn't until 1997 that they even got into watches. But the real game changer, the moment everything shifted, was in 2006. They did something absolutely brilliant. They bought Minerva, a super respected watchmaker with a history going all the way back to 1858. Just like that, in one move, Mont Blanc bought itself over a century of genuine watchmaking history. And this is the key. This pinpoints the exact source of that vintage inspiration. See, Minerva wasn't just any old watch company. Back in the 30s and 40s, the golden age of aviation, they were the go-to for tough, easy-to-read watches for pilots and for the military. That very specific heritage is the bedrock for the whole Mont Blanc 1858 collection. And you can see that history written all over the watch's face. These aren't just random vintagey choices. They're all there for a reason. You've got those big, beautiful cathedral hands, the super clear Arabic numerals, that classic railway track around the edge for the minutes. All of it was designed for a pilot to glance down and read the time in a vibrating cockpit. Even that big, oversized onion crown was designed so a pilot could wind and set the watch without taking off his thick leather gloves. It's all function first. Okay, so that's the soul of the past. But this watch isn't just a retro copy. It's a tool for right now, and its brain is pure 21st century. So let's flip the coin and look at the advanced engineering that makes this so much more than a throwback. This right here is the headline feature. Mont Blanc has figured out how to assemble and seal the watch case in an environment with zero oxygen inside. Now, why does that matter? Well, if you're a mountaineer or an explorer, you're going through massive temperature swings. No oxygen means absolutely no chance of the crystal fogging up on the inside. Plus, over the long term, it stops oxidation, which means the tiny, delicate parts of the movement are protected from rust and wear. It's all about performance and making the watch last. And this modern thinking, it doesn't stop there. It extends right to the metal of the case itself. They chose a special alloy that perfectly nails that dual identity we've been talking about. It's built to be incredibly tough, but it's also designed to change with you. The material is called Cupro Aluminium. Think of it as a special kind of bronze, an alloy that's way more resistant to corrosion and rust than the typical bronze you see on a lot of other watches. That's the modern, durable part. But, and this is the really cool part, it will still develop a unique patina over time. It'll slowly change color based on your life, your environment. The watch literally becomes your own, telling your story. So, we've got the vintage soul, we've got the modern brain. Now let's look at the watch itself and see how these two kind of opposite ideas actually come together in the final product. The spec sheet really tells the story. You have that high-tech Cupro aluminum case, right? But it's paired with this fixed, polished, brown ceramic bezel. Another super modern scratch-proof material. Inside, you've got a really reliable modern automatic movement, the MB2417, which is based on a famous Swiss workhorse. It's just designed to be dependable, day in and day out, and it's all sealed up to be water-resistant to 100 meters. Now just look at this dial. It has this incredible warmth and richness to it, which is such a beautiful contrast to that high-tech case. It's got what they call a sfumato gradient finish, so it gets darker towards the edges, and there's a really subtle grained texture that just gives it so much depth. The numbers are plated in rose gold, and the lume, that's the stuff that glows in the dark, is a beige color that looks vintage in the light, but glows super bright when it's dark. It's just a masterclass in visual balance. Okay, this is a really fascinating little detail that shows you just how much thought went into this. On most of the other watches in this vintage-style 1858 line, Mont Blanc uses an old-school logo from its archives. But for this specific model, they deliberately chose to use their clean, modern logo. It's a small thing, but it's a quiet reminder that for all its history, this is a watch for today. So you've got the history, you've got the tech, you've got a material that literally evolves with you. What does all that add up to? And who is a watch like this actually built for?
First, let's put it in context. The price tag on this watch is $3,695. That puts it in a really competitive space, where it's offering this unique story and advanced tech against some of the more traditional choices in the luxury sports watch world.
So when you boil it all down, this Montblanc 1858 Zero Oxygen isn't just another watch. It's a whole concept. It's for that modern-day explorer type, someone who loves the romance and story of a 1930s pilot watch, but needs it to perform with total 21st century reliability. It really is the soul of Minerva inside the body of a modern Mont Blanc. And all of this leaves us with one final thought to chew on. This watch is a physical blend of the past and the future, an object that's meant to tell a story. In our world of constant software updates and things that feel, well, disposable, it really makes you ask, what's the value of carrying a real piece of history, one that's engineered for the future, right there on your wrist?